Have you downsized but kept a few things that you just wouldn't part with? That's me. Now, I downsized almost everything I own. That's another story. I had perhaps 5 boxes left and a few larger things that couldn't be boxed. That was it. But there were some things, they're totally useless. But did I let them go? No. They still to this day mostly don't have any practical reason behind living in my house, but I kept them anyway. I don't care they take up space. I don't care they take up mind share. I don't care I should have got rid of them a long time ago. Now my items might be useless, but they're full of stories. And I have 7 of them. That means 7 items, 7 stories. And you'll never guess what they are unless you listen to every single one of them. But I also know you probably have 7 like that too, or maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 20. I know we're going to want to hear about those in the comments. But while you're figuring, I'm going to get started with my 7. Here goes. Before I really get underway, there are a couple of things that are not at all useless and impractical. Those are the subscribe and like buttons. Why aren't they useless? Because they let YouTube know that we like things that are in our demographic, that speak to us honestly, real, personally. And that subscribe button, it lets YouTube know how you feel about that. The like button does too. I really also enjoy those personally. They make me feel good, and that's another way of letting YouTube know to pay attention to us. So please hit the subscribe and like buttons. That would be really nice of you. Item number 1, this. What is that, you may ask? This is a lambskin. Well, it might be a sheepskin, but I'm thinking a lambskin. It's a little bit too small for a sheep. But it's a big lamb. Why do I have a lambskin in the house? Sometimes I'm not sure. In fact, until earlier this year, it had a nice label on it that told me what it was. And I took the label off because I was going to give it away. And of course, now I can't find the label, and I still have the sheepskin. So what's the thing with that sheepskin? Well, years ago, I was traveling with my mother. My mother was English, by the way, and I grew up English. And every year we'd go back to England and we'd visit all the relations, and then we'd do something special together. We'd travel around and we'd stay at a B&B for a few nights, look at the scenery, check things out. Always a different area. So this one particular year, it must have been 15, 20 years ago now. We were somewhere in the middle of Wales. And I know I'm being vague, but it was kind of like that when we were looking for this place. Because this place, as it turns out, was a 1-star B&B. That was the only B&B in the whole area that would fit our budget, because we were cheapskates. We could never afford it now. So yes, a 1-star B&B. And we couldn't find it. We finally found it. It was an old farmhouse with a muddy yard. I mean, deep in mud. Cobblestone yard in front of it. And we were greeted at the door by an old Bobby from London and his wife. Yep, covered in mud. It was an ancient little place. Now, I did mention that he was a Bobby from London. Yeah, a Londoner. These were outsiders. And they had decided to move to Wales, open a B&B. I think it had 1 room. Open a B&B, serve the breakfast in the morning, and run a farm. And she did the animals. For some reason, she was really experienced with Arabian racehorses. I never did figure that out. But she also went about breeding sheep. Now you know, and I know, that in a flock, you only want 1 black lamb or so. The black sheep, right? You don't want a whole lot of black sheep. You so much don't want a lot of black sheep that it's a pejorative if someone calls you a black sheep. Well, she didn't know what she was doing. And I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of Wales. They have all kinds of white sheep, these beautiful bright green hillsides that have been pastured for centuries. She so much didn't know what she was doing, although she had some great sheep to start. She matched them, and her whole flock came out black. It was the funniest thing. She had a whole flock of black sheep because she didn't know how to breed, and she bred, I guess, indiscriminately. My mother and I had such a good time with the very basicness of this place. Oh, and the ceilings were like yay high, and the stairs to go upstairs were like yay wide. It was really ancient. And our room had maybe 10 windows, all different sizes and shapes. So fun. At any rate, in the morning, I felt that they'd more than enough earned their keep, and someone had given me 50 pounds as a birthday present. So I thought, I'll get the sheepskin. And so I brought it home. It occurs to me now you're probably not supposed to bring sheepskin through customs, but I didn't think about that then. And I still have it. For some reason, I can't let go. But that's what I'm talking about today, yeah? That's my item number 1. Item number 2, a placemat. A placemat? Yes, a placemat. And I'm going to flip it around. It has writing on it. Of course, the writing is going to come out backwards. So I'm going to give you a slide that has the right orientation. You watch. Here it is. Now what's in there? 3 goats walking. It says Woolly Walkers. That's it. It's a piece of souvenir, kitsch. 3 goats with really good boots and backpacks. Gotta love it. So how did I get this one? Now, I got this on a whim. I'll tell you what happened. A few years ago, this was actually my most recent trip to England. My godmother, who'd been with me my whole life, in and out while we lived in foreign countries, every year I saw her pretty much, all over the world, and at her home in England. Well, she got dementia. And as a last kind of interaction with the universe, she wanted me to take her to Yorkshire, where she had largely grown up. So about 5 years ago, the moment I got this house, I was headed off to England to take her to Yorkshire. So that's what we did. I took her up to Yorkshire, to her old haunts. We were gone, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. We had a good time, though she did have very significant dementia, not able really to make her own executive decisions, and I would get worried about her getting lost. But yeah, we tootled around Yorkshire, up and down lanes. Oh, and we had the most magnificent food there. Absolutely wonderful. It was comfort food for me, and I hadn't eaten food like that for a long time. Really, in England is the only place I can get it. And to find it, you have to have kind of a knack about which pub to go to, where you'll find the food that I grew up with. Over the years, I did have that kind of a knack, and my godmother absolutely had that kind of a knack, so we ate really well. It's so wonderful just thinking about that food. At any rate, I was so tied up in taking care of her, and also looking at the landscape and kind of managing meals and driving the car, that I really didn't have that much time to putter around and get myself anything. So the very last day, I thought, I haven't got anything for myself. And I saw this placemat. And I thought, oh, there are all these walkers around. And I've been a walker too. I've had a backpack and boots since I was a kid. I'll get that. It's very silly, but right now I need silly. So I got it. And it was so flat, it could easily fit into my one little carry-on suitcase. So that was my grand souvenir from that trip. And that was the last time I saw my godmother. She had been in my life for almost 70 years. Seems crazy, but it's the truth. And if you ever have the chance, visit Yorkshire. It was special. Item number 3 of useless things I have in my little house. A set of feet. Feet. What am I doing with a set of feet? Well, that's a story. They aren't even a complete set of feet. They're missing the person that they went on. Cute though. Okay, so what about these feet? My mother gave them to me. I was a thru hiker on the Appalachian Trail. I was hiking for 6 months, and I almost made it. I got to Maine and got too injured to continue. My mother was not really good at acknowledging who I am or my accomplishments. But for some reason, out of the blue, she gave me these feet. And maybe if you didn't know the story, you'd think, oh, what are those for? Well, that's a nasty gift. It doesn't even have the whole person that goes on it. But me, I saw it as acknowledgement of who I was. I don't even know where she picked them up. It's not that they were family heirlooms, these feet. They were just, I don't know, something she saw. I have no idea where she got them, but she gave them to me. I can't even remember what she said about them. But to me, they came as an acknowledgement of who I was. I had done a whole lot with my feet in the years previous, and she had paid attention to that. Now, I have downsized most everything that I own, and I refused to take any heirlooms. I just don't have space for that in my life. But I kept the feet because they tell me that my mother noticed me at least that once, that I made some kind of impression on her. And that was really important to me, and still is. And they're the kind of thing, they wouldn't have meant anything to anyone else, but they're very meaningful to me, and that's why I keep them. Am I surprising the heck out of you? I hope so. And you too, in your heads, you're writing your little list, yeah? I have a feeling everyone's little list is going to be unique. Anyway, here's number 4. And this fits into the category of useless for the moment, but I'm sure I'll be able to use it one day. You know what I mean, right? You have some of those too. It's my mountain bike. What do you mean you have a mountain bike? I have a mountain bike. I can't use it right this minute because I had a concussion and I get a little bit squirrely and I daren't go out on it, at least for the last few months. But I feel certain that I can use it one day. Now, why do I have a mountain bike? Well, years ago, I was in kind of a bad place. I was unhappy. I didn't have a good job. I didn't know what to do all day. I didn't have a good place to live. I was miserable. I didn't even know how I was going to make it through the day. So what did I do? I decided I had to keep myself occupied all day, every day. This was fairly imaginative now that I think about it. I must have been driving around out in the wilds, but I came across this place where you could mountain bike. A vast network of trails, some through private land, wonderful barns, big views, miles and miles of it. And it wasn't too far away from where I was living at the time. Now, I had never taken a bike off a road, and I did have such a bike. On a whim, I went into a bike store near all of those trails. Kingdom Trails, it's called. And I randomly asked if I could test drive a bike. I tell you, within a quarter of a mile, I decided I was going to do mountain biking. I got my current bike. I hated using it in the East anyway because there's too much traffic and too many hills and too many potholes and too many this and that. I sold it as fast as I could, took the bucks, went into that bike store, and I bought myself a mountain bike. I had to be nuts. I had trouble getting on the thing. I was so embarrassed. People would watch me trying to hop on it. And then I would pedal just a couple of pedals and I'd fall off. And it was really bad if I was going to go uphill because I was so out of shape. I mean, I was in physically good shape because I'd been through hiking, so I had plenty of muscle. But did I have bicycle muscle? No. And then I was never very confident at steering, so I got kind of scared out there on the trails. But this is what I found out. I went out there every single day. Every day. It cost $75 for the whole season. I was out there every day. It was great. I learned how to be on that bicycle. I learned by myself. I didn't want anyone to watch me do this. It took incredible nerve sometimes to go down even a wide trail on a steep hill. It was scary, but it occupied my whole being all day, every day, which is exactly what I needed. And I still have that bike. Now, I no longer have any ambitions of going out and doing trail riding. I don't want to learn all of that all over again. And realistically, my balance, it was never good. And my steering is kind of squirrely when I'm on a bicycle. I was never very confident. I don't need to pay attention to that now. All I want to do is breeze around. There's no feeling in the universe like being on a bicycle, that kind of freshness that zooms right by you. So yeah, for right now, it's a white elephant. But give me time. Maybe not much longer, and I'll be out there again. You wait. Item number 5. I'm sure you never guessed this. I wouldn't have guessed it either. I mean, it is so far off the mark. It's, Judith, what the heck are you doing with that? It's a CD set to learn Bengali. I'm never giving this away. It's so useless that it, yes, has CDs. See? I don't even know how to use a CD anymore. And it has this nice little book inside. Yes, a way to learn Bengali. See? There's a story that goes with that, of course. Let me tell it. I wish I knew Bengali. Here's the deal. Almost 20 years ago, I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with my life. I just had no idea. I kind of reached a dead end. And I didn't have any money. So I thought to myself, I wonder if I've lost my touch. I wonder if I can get someone to pay for me to go somewhere, internationally. So I began to explore the internet to see if I could find something like that. And I did. There were actually several possibilities, but the one I ended up applying for and got was a trip to Bangladesh. Now, at the time, I didn't call it Bangladesh. I called it Bangladesh. And the only thing I knew about it was that it flooded all the time because it was very low in the water, and it had the highest density of population in the world. That's all I knew about it. As I worked through my head, I had a few more things in there, like it used to be East Pakistan. Oh, and a smattering of, I don't know, general knowledge you pick up over the years. And I knew where it was on the map. I even knew the name of the capital city. I'd heard people say they wouldn't want to go there. That's how I knew it. But I really wanted to go there. And I was accepted. So I was going to go there and I was going to teach English to university students who are coming from impoverished or really difficult situations from all over South Asia. I have so many stories, but I need to keep this one brief here. I went there as a linguist myself. I had a history of learning languages, speaking different languages, and I have a degree in ancient languages. So they seemed familiar to me. I thought, I'll learn Bengali. Actually, they call it Bangla there. Bangladesh is the country that speaks Bangla. I thought, I'll learn it there. Well, I got there, and there wasn't a single book that you could learn Bangla with. So on a little trip I took out of the country, I grabbed this. Yeah, I was hell-bent on learning Bengali or Bangla. And then I had to find someone to teach me this. Mostly, I was working on it myself. And you know, this was a very difficult language. I did not get very far. But part of the reason for that, the Bangladeshis are so wonderful. They're so obliging. They want to be helpful. I was so helped there, I didn't find the need at every moment to speak Bangla. Somehow or other, I was able to communicate and be communicated to by just ordinary folks out on the street who couldn't speak any English. But between us, we'd come up with what was needed. And oh, I loved it there. I was one of the few people I knew that really loved it there. And I did. But did I ever learn Bangla? No, unfortunately not. I wasn't there long enough. That's another story. But till then, I'm never getting rid of this. It reminds me of something I loved, a place I loved, and also an impossible dream. I was not good at this language. I would have needed to be there a really long time to do that well. But a gal can but dream. I'm keeping it. So if that was number 5, what's number 6? My Phi Beta Kappa Key. Yep, all these years, I hadn't even taken it out of its little case. And that's where my story comes from. Oops, better not drop it. So Phi Beta Kappa is a National Honor Society, yes, and it's on campus, college, university level, and it's very prestigious. Only a tiny percentage of any graduating class gets to be Phi Beta Kappa. And to my joy, as I graduated from college, I was in the last round of selection, but I made it. It was such a treat to have that. And then you learn the handshake, and you meet some other members, and you have the breakfast all together. I had a professor take me. It was really sweet of her. And then, at some point, you end up with a key. They might not give it to you. It was one of those things where you might have to buy it. I don't think they were shelling out keys. But here's the thing about Phi Beta Kappa keys. It's not cool to wear them. It's not cool to dangle them off you in any way. It's not cool to flash them around. It's sort of like a secret item to own. And so that's the way it's been for me, a secret item to own in my little jewelry box that I never open, because it has other things like that I could never wear, but they are somehow little like keepsakes, adornments, maybe things people have given me over the years. And as I say, I hadn't even opened this silly little plastic container for decades. But here we go. Here it is. I'm not going to wear it for you, but at least you get to see it. That's the deal. That's my number 6, a key for an honor society that's not very cool for me to flash around. But yeah, I'm a Phi Beta. You might have figured that already. Before I get to my 7th item, and I know you'll never guess what it is, you've been thinking all this time, yeah, about the useless things you have in your house, the things you can't live without. They make you feel alive. Jot them down in the comments. Don't forget that, yeah? Okay, number 7. I told you you'll never guess it. It's a Spyroraph. This. I know the lettering is backwards, but I'm gonna flip it right around for you so you can see it for real. It's a Spyroraph. What is a Spyroraph? What is this thing? Let me tell you, I got it for my 13th birthday. I chose it. Here's what happened. Well, before I get into a story, what is a Spyroraph? Let me see if I can open this. My mother tied this up. It never gets opened. This ancient hairy string for the 1950s, I'm sure. Anyway, it is beautifully in place. It's taped down so the pieces don't move around. And it looks like this. It's a bunch of cogs. And what you do, those are the original pens, by the way. That was kind of a new thing in those days. So what you do is you stick a pen in the little holes in the cog, and then you move the cog all around. And you do that on a piece of paper. And then it makes designs like this. And you can put several different designs together and make something creative. Anyway, when I was 12, I went to boarding school. I should have gone a lot sooner, to tell you the truth. I was way too much delayed in going. So at 12, I went to boarding school in England. And when I got there, I was a really good fit for that situation. However, the girls had grown up in a little bit different environments than I had, not in the sense that I wasn't very English, I was, but they had grown up in England. I had grown up all over the world. And they had items, gadgets, gizmos, stuff in their universe that I'd never laid eyes on before. And I'll swear half of them had a Spyroraph. And I just thought it was so clever. And I liked crafty things when I was a kid. I did a lot of sewing. And I liked to make things with my hands. Crafty kinds of things. Not technical, but colors and shapes and paper and pencils. That kind of stuff. Embroidery, knitting. I did all of that. So my mother asked me what I wanted for my birthday. My 13th birthday. And she said the budget was £1. That was the exact price of a Spyroraph, so I had to have one. And this is it. Can you believe it? It's coming on 60 years old. Some other little kids, my little nieces, and nephews, now totally grown, got into it. So it got into a little bit of a mess until I secreted it away. But yeah, I have it after all these years, and I'm never giving it up. Because some of what it reminded me of in those days when I was 12 and I was magically dropped into this boarding school amongst all these girls that were sort of like me, lively and bright and intelligent and super sharp. And it had been years since I'd been around other girls like that. Oh, it was such a pleasure. And this Spyroraph was partly my joy in being in that environment and being one of them. I was so thrilled. And that was my birthday choice. And that's enough useless things for now. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk soon, all right? See you then.